Greetings, friends, and welcome to the Creation Soapbox, Part 1, The Trouble with Uncle Chuck, or What is Evolution? Brought to you by your friends here at abitoforange.com. So, in order to decide whether or not evolution is a scientific fact as we're told in textbooks and on TV, we first have to ask, what is evolution? We all agree that evolution is meant to explain the origin of species. Today there are wolves and cabbages. Evolution is meant to answer the question, where did they come from? What is evolution? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some will say it's just change over time. I have a textbook here that's just called Evolution, Change Over Time. Some will say it's changes in allele frequency. Some say it's descent with modification. Some will say it's all of modern science. I have to explain that last one. I have seen on many occasions people say that to reject evolution is to reject all of modern science. It only takes a little bit of thinking to realize why that's a tremendously stupid claim, because modern science, so let's say anything from the past century, then when they say to reject evolution is to reject all of modern science, that means if you don't accept evolution as fact, you can't believe in the internet, or exoplanets, or electrons, or DNA. It just goes on and on like that. It's a ridiculous claim, and when people say that kind of thing, they didn't really think about it first. Come on, guys, you gotta think before you leave me snarky comments on YouTube. That's all I ask. So do any of these definitions work? Can evolution be said to be just change over time, or changes in allele frequency, or descent with modification, or science? No. None of those definitions work, and here's why. Everyone agrees that evolution tells a story. Plant and animal kinds that did not exist in the past exist now, and evolution claims to be the process which created those plants and animals. It answers the question, well, where did wolves come from? Where did cabbages come from? Why not just change over time? Do living things change over time? Well, yes, of course they do, but is that evolution? And what do we mean by change? Here's the problem with this definition is that the word change doesn't really specify what's changing. And here's another question, what doesn't change over time? Everything in the universe is changing over time. That's what it means to be in time. To be temporal is to change. Here's an example. Extinction. Suppose all of the wolves in the world went extinct. That would be a change. That would be a change that was also a drastic change in allele frequency, which is a topic we'll discuss in a later chapter. But is this evolution? No, because it would cut branches off of the Darwinian Tree of Life. If we just cut off the wolf branch, does that explain where wolves came from? No. That's what extinction does. It's a change. It's a very big change over time, but it's not the kind of change that will explain where cabbages and wolves came from. It can only explain how they go away. That's not the same thing at all. This process would never turn bacteria into wolves and cabbages. So extinction, while a change over time, isn't going to be evolution. We're going to need other mechanisms if we're going to explain where these things come from. So why can't evolution be just change over time? Because any kind of change is change, but not every kind of change creates new kinds of plants and animals. If a kind of plant or animal goes extinct, that's a change. But that can never be the explanation of how they came into being in the first place, which is what evolution is meant to explain. We'll talk about changes in allele frequency in a future installment. Descent with modification just means that one generation is different than the last, but again, descent just means generation following generation, and modification just means change. So descent with modification literally just means change over time again, which again is too ambiguous to tell us, well, what kind of change, and is it the kind of change that could create new kinds of plants and animals? And science? No. Thanks for joining us on this bit of orange here on the Creation Soapbox. I hope you enjoyed this bit of orange. If you want more, check out abitoforange.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, Jesus loves you.